fellow countrymen, many years have already gone by since we ceased to feed boys to the cannon in the World War. It seems difficult to believe that only about 1/3 of the living American people were old enough to remember it well. We have urgent need today to recall the realities of modern war, and we have desperate need to take into our national thinking the gigantic yet invisible forces behind war which are again moving in Europe. I have had some experience over the last 25 years and an opportunity to observe European peoples and their leaders with all the forces of good and evil with which they live and to relate them to our American scene. The searchlight of this period and its experience can well be turned on some phases of the present scene. First, let me say something of my experience of what war really is. Those who lived in it, and our American boys who fought in it, dislike to recall its terribleness. We delve today upon its glories, the courage, the heroism, the greatness of the spirit of men. I myself would like to forget all else. But today, with the world driving recklessly into it again, there is much that we must not forget. Amid the afterglow of glory and legend, we forget the filth and the stench and the death of the trenches. We forget the dumb grief of mothers, of wives, and of children. We forget the unending blight cast on the world by sacrifice of the flower of every race. I was one of the few civilians who saw something of the Battle of the Somme. In the distant view were the unending trenches filled with 1.5 million of men. Here and there, like ants, they advanced under the thunder and the belching of volcanoes from 10,000 guns. Their lives were thrown away until 500,000 of them had died. Passing close by were the unending lines of men plodding along the right-hand side of the road to the front, not with drums and bands, but with saddened resignation. And down the left side of the road came the unending lines of wounded men, staggering among stretchers and ambulances. Do you think one can forget that? And it was but one battle out of 100. 10 million men died or were maimed for life in that war. There were millions who died unknown and unmarked. Yet there are miles of unending crosses in 1,000 cemeteries. The great monument to the dead at Ypres carries the names of 150,000 Englishmen who died on but a small segment of that front. Theirs was an inspiring heroism for all time. But how much greater a world it would be today if that heroism and that character could have lived, and how much sorrow would have been saved to 1 million of homes in the world. We as a people can keep out of war in Europe if we have the resolute will to do so. Our will can be weakened by propaganda. It can be insidiously undermined by sitting in the game of European power politics. Now we hear much of laws that will preserve our neutrality. But the question is not legalisms and law. It is our will to stay out. Staying out is a matter of tactics and of strategy, almost as difficult as the strategy and the tactics of war. And if there is not the adamant will to stay out, no amount of law can keep us out. The first thing required is a vigorous, definite statement from all who have the responsibility, both publicly and privately, that we are not going to war with anybody in Europe unless they attack the Western Hemisphere. The second thing is not to sit in this game of power politics.